four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty, the golden voice of Neil Rule, and the iconic Terry Foster. Sit back and relax. It's time for your daily dose of Big D energy.
Yo, that's for Alicia Tammy. You are winners. Sorry, Paul Thomas. 4-year-old Big D energy. No Neil Rule today. Yes, Mike G. He is slamming shrimp cocktails down in Indy.
And ribeye.
Is it Indonesia or Indianapolis?
He went to Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Yeah,
Next
no Neil today,
Indonesia.
but of course we have the man, not the real bad man that was here yesterday.
I left that shirt at home.
But Terry Foster is here sporting a rockin' flannel. Obviously might be paying tribute to our guy, the legend killer, Flannel Sam in the booth, who is with us as always. How are you today, Sam?
I am good, Terry. I feel like you're wearing a flannel in sort of reverence to me, and I kind of like that.
I used to wear flannel more, but then when you became Flannel Sam, I thought maybe I shouldn't wear them. So I asked permission. Is it okay if I do rock flannel now and then? So, yeah, go ahead. So
you do have, obviously we are joined as always by Spenmo, Rack Spencer on the ones and twos. But Terry, here's the thing. You bring a different element to the flannel game because you accessorize with that beautiful hat, right?
Okay, yeah.
He doesn't have the hat game yet, so it's a bit of an OG thing. So I appreciate it when you do that to show us a different look for the flannels.
Yeah, he won't rock the hat for another 20 years.
Well, that's okay though, because you got her down. Shout out to Detroit Dabber 313 first in. Welcome to the chat thread, everybody. WoodwardSports.com. We're gonna have fun today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. First off, just so you know, 11 o'clock tonight, Bally Sports. If you're in or if you're not, the Red Wings will be playing the Vegas Knights. That's what we're going to talk about, the Red Wings right there. Take it for what it is. I think we nailed it yesterday, Terry, is this team is where it's at, the inconsistency. Now, if you dial it in, we'll talk about it. If not, don't worry too much about it.
I'm going to try to watch the entire game. Now, my goal when they played 11 o'clock or 10:30 games, my goal was to try to hit 2 periods, and then I'd fall asleep. And normally I'd wake up, there'd be 2 minutes left in the third period, and I'd miss a key goal or a key moment or something, but I got to see him skate off the ice. Well, my goal tonight, all 3 periods.
Well, here's the one thing, Terry, is because if you watch the game or consume the game like you do, right, the things that you want to see are usually early because this team has been getting behind by a lot of goals early in the game. So last game they were able to score first. This is something that they got to work on. So you'll be able to see early on, even if you do fall asleep, probably.
But I'll miss the comeback.
but they're few and far between, right?
Well, they're almost comebacks. I mean, like they get behind by 5. There's that one game they won, but usually it's 5-3, or if they fall behind by 4, it's 4-2 at some point or something. So I missed a little mini comeback.
Yeah, it is a mini comeback. So we have that on the addendum. One thing that we are going to talk to after the first break, because it's something that I think it's new and exciting. With the Pistons are playing this afternoon on NBA TV versus the Bulls over in Paris. So we will talk a little about that. But I wanted to start here, Sam, because and Spencer, it's perfect because this has to do a little bit with the Woodward heavyweights, and I don't know if people that are privy to Big D Energy, but from 5 to 7, you got the Woodward heavyweights with yourself and Easy and Sam Flannels on there, and because you do the picks for football on the week, you guys you hold your gentlemen accountable, right? There's an accountability to the loser. Yes. Now, would have expected some sort of alcohol involved thing, but no, you guys do it at a different level. So I want to touch on this as I preview before the break. We get into some of the lines and some of the games of football this weekend, because for people out there on Big D Energy, if you don't know, Flannel Sam is a regular on that show, and Flannel Sam is a regular loser on that show.
He is.
So will you please give the audience a little bit, maybe they want to tune into the Woodward heavyweights to some of the shenanigans you got going on?
Yeah, some shenanigans for sure. So throughout the season, we'd do Pick'em Fridays where I'd give us a list of 7 or 8 NFL games, and we'd all pick them. And the loser would normally have to wear a hot dog suit on Tuesday or whatever after that. But the last week, we decided to spice it up a little bit for the playoffs, and the loser had to do a 5-second shot of ketchup that was administered by the lovely Bethany, and it just so happened to be
So it's legit.
It's legit.
It's legit.
Yeah.
When you bring the lovely, talented Bethany in, that is accountability.
That's not really
personified.
punishment.
What?
That's not really punishment. 5-second ketchup
Oh, it was
from
bad,
a woman?
Terry.
Come
Out
on
of the
now.
out of the
Out of the bottle.
out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Terry, I will agree with you. It does not seem to have the punishment that rookie initiation for me in Belleville with Prairie Fire. Are you familiar with what a Prairie Fire is?
I'm not familiar.
Prairie Fire is tequila and Tabasco sauce. And so initiation was you had to do that. Put it this way, it's a good thing that it was done in the wintertime when there's snow out, because you do those and then you stick your face in the snowbank because it hurts. Sam, tell us about your experience. Maybe you can fill Mr. Foster in. Was it the worst experience, or how was your experience?
Well, it was punishment, for the record. I certainly felt it. It wasn't the worst experience in the world, but those 5-second speds, they were going pretty slow. Were you doing Mississippi's in your head?
No, I had the timer out.
I don't know about
Did
that.
it all fit in your mouth?
It almost didn't. That was the hard part. When it got to 3 seconds, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm gonna like spit it up at some point. And the last thing,
5 seconds is a long time. when
It
something's
was
a
getting
long
squirted in
time.
your mouth.
And the last thing I wanted to do was like spit it up on any of the heavyweights or Bethany. That would have been a disaster. I held it. I held it in. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it certainly was a punishment. It wasn't easy. But you know what? I'm a man of my word. I took it like a champ.
He did.
You are. Well, I say that, and Casey tells me that the Prairie Fire is a half shot of tequila, half shot of wild turkey and Tabasco sauce. I got gypped on the wild turkey.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no wild turkey. Now, this is a long time ago. This is like 35 years ago.
Young man, I had something similar to that. I don't even know what it's called. It was tequila, tobacco sauce, and a raw oyster. And we were at the University of Tennessee covering a basketball tournament, and that's what we did on a Saturday night.
How many did you have?
I had 4.
It doesn't sound not like that. Sounds like sort of if you like oysters, the
It's
way
called a
you.
prairie oyster.
Or maybe is that an oyster shooter or something? You alcoholics out there, help me out on this.
I've
I don't know
tried,
what it
Terry.
was
It's
called.
been a while
A
though.
prairie oyster.
Prairie oyster.
Prairie oyster. Okay.
Nice. Wow.
Now
No.
the great thing the fun thing we did that night, we got plastered, and we met a guy named Condridge Holloway.
Condridge Holloway.
Condridge Holloway.
Phillips? Is he a Phillips? Condridge
No.
Holloway Phillips?
He was a former University of Tennessee quarterback, and he was decent. And Tennessee would get their asses kicked every year by Alabama. But what happened is if you gave Condridge a drink, he would start talking about the one time that Tennessee beat Alabama when he was a quarterback. And that's what the locals did. They would just come up, hey, what's up, Condridge? Hey, you want a beer? See, yeah. And then you start talking about the Tennessee-Alabama game. So I am a disbelieving guy. So they told me that. So I bought him a drink, and he started telling me every detail of that game. It was like in the 70s or something. But that's what he did. He just got drunk and told you Tennessee football stories.
Can't beat it, Spetty. I'm there.
Yeah,
That
I'll be
sounds
there.
pretty cool.
Sounds like a good time.
Sounds pretty cool. You know, one of the things I bring this up because obviously, Sam, you don't want to go 2 weeks in a row. Now, my question is, like, if Sam loses again this week, is it something worse?
I don't know. I think that is the point of no return, was the ketchup shot. I don't know if we can get worse than that, because it was gross. I didn't want to see it. And
Well,
we'll
you
see.
don't have to. You're a good football mind.
That's true. Sam is notoriously bad at picking football games.
But it got me around at here's the question that I wanted to
She's
pose.
lost how many weeks?
I've done it 6 times. I've lost 4, and it's a competition where there's 5 competitors and 1 loser. So I've been historically bad at picking NFL games this year.
How can you lose that many times when Easy's on the show with you?
He's never lost.
Easy hasn't lost once.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're looking at me. I got the belt. I got the Feldman belt, which I should probably bring it. But I wanted to bring this up, and I bring it up to the chat thread, too, because 4 games, playoff games this weekend. And just looking at it from afar, obviously all the home teams are the favorites. But which game, I ask around the room, I'll start with you, Terry. You got Jacksonville, Kansas City on Saturday, -8.5. New York, Philly, -7.5. Cincinnati, Buffalo on Sunday, -5, or Dallas, San Francisco, -3.5. Okay. Which game out of there would you, if you had to pick one right now, would you...
Against the spread, or am I looking for an upset?
No, you're looking because of the spread. Which favorite? Which favorite do you have confidence in?
I think my surprise one would be Jacksonville against Kansas City.
Really?
Because Jacksonville loses, but they cover a lot. They cover a whole lot. Kansas City... is a great team, but I think sometimes Kansas City's like, who are we playing today? Are these clowns? And so they jack around and they'll pull it out at the end. So I think Jacksonville is the one that I'm real curious about.
Because you picked Jacksonville, right? And that stat that Neil brought up yesterday about Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback
has not
since
lost,
Pee-wee football, guys, has never, I repeat, never, ever lost on a Saturday.
Which is amazing because the last time I checked, they play college football games on Saturday.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So saying as his track record is big. So you like that. How about you, Sam Flannel? Any of these home, like Terry says that his biggest takeaway is Jacksonville on the road with the points.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest, the Buffalo Bills, I know that that's kind of an easy one because the Bengals are obviously the best underdog of the 4, but if Josh Allen continues to kind of be reckless with the football and put it up for grabs, the Bengals are going to win that game because the one thing that they do, especially with Joe Burrow in the playoffs, he may not be spectacular in any playoff game, but he takes care of the football. And Josh Allen, I mean, the only reason that the Miami Dolphins were in that game last week was because Josh Allen couldn't stop turning the football over. He had 2 interceptions, and he was strip sacked for a touchdown. So to me, the Buffalo Bills better watch themselves because.
So if you're taking any of the games right here, you would say you'd take Cincinnati right now?
Yes.
Spenny.
I like San Francisco -3. I think their defense. What you're looking at with Dallas is their defense, but San Fran's defense is better, and I think they'll get that done.
I thought we had to pick an underdog.
No, I said the favorite. You picked the underdog. But do you feel? I'll let you choose if you feel more confident in another game. It sounded like you were most confident in the 8 points of Jacksonville.
Well, I was thinking about the underdog.
Right. Do you have a favorite? Would you say because to me, what Spencer said, I think that Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and the Giants. And take it for what it is, but if I'm looking at it right now, I'm taking the points in those games. San Francisco, to me, seems that they just keep getting better. They got, whether it was a scare, whether it was Brock Purdy getting into playoff football, you got to understand, this is his first time under the bigger, bright lights. But to me, San Fran seems like the team of destiny, and it's just with what they can do.
Yeah, they may have been challenged for a half against Seattle, but then they just trucked them. I mean, I thought the way that game was playing out, it was going to be a close game, but then Seattle started to make mistakes. Seattle felt the pressure, and San Francisco's like, we're just chilling, and we're just going to crush you at the end. So San Francisco is probably that easier favorite to pick.
No, you got it. Who we got here? XYYX. Trevor Lawrence has never lost on a Saturday? Question mark? No.
Never.
Answer.
His whole life.
Right there. Rad says, I love Cincy, but Flannel Sam picking them has me nervous.
Yeah.
Which it should. A lot of other ones of people being sort of nervous and stuff like that. So when we come back, we're going to talk some Pistons. I got some questions for Terry, and you know what? The big question is, going back over to Paris, is this a homecoming for Killian Hayes? Do we expect him to ball out today? But first, let me tell you about Alta, because that Alta uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. You got a bog project coming up, Alta Rent, they got you covered. Give them a call today. 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
As chilly weather approaches, Big Boy's got the perfect comfort meals for you. Try our hearty classic meatloaf or our creamy Cajun chicken Alfredo. These will be sure to leave you craving for more. How about breakfast? Our stuffed potato pancakes are back with our lumberjack, blockbuster, and Santa Fe Garden. These potato pancakes will definitely fill you up. Whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, come stock up on the perfect comfort meal today. We'll see you soon at Big Boy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I've lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
What's going on, everybody? It's Spencer for the Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck, the home of the original football bowling pin game called Fulling. Multiple different ways you can play. They've got $12 open unlimited play and private lane reservation for $120. If you get thirsty, they got a $2 mystery beer vending machine and multiple fully loaded bars for you to choose from. So make sure you go check them out in Hamtramck or visit them online at FullingWarehouse.com.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Flannel Sam, and Spenmo Rax getting with you here on a Thursday, just going over a little bit of the lines for the Saturday playoff games. You know, people are a little sus because you took Cincinnati there, bud, but we'll get onto it. What I wanted to turn to is this afternoon, if you have the NBA TV network, you can watch your Detroit Pistons in a game played over in Paris, France, against the Chicago Bulls. I guess my question in the chat thread is, and I saw Dad with Tourette's already beat me to it, what kind of game do you think Killian's going to have? He's got Killian down maybe a 20-8 game. I guess my bottom line, Terry, is this: we always talk about players, you know, going back to other teams or going back to where they play college, but we rarely get to say in the NBA, go back to where they're from. Country-wise, right? I asked you before the show, had you ever traveled to another country with the Pistons and doing that, and that wasn't around back then. Do you think that this is a bigger deal for Killian Hayes?
I think it's a bigger deal. It's a big deal for him, but I think it's going to be a real big deal for his teammates also. Normally, in circumstances like this, I'm sure guys are talking, we want Killian to look good because he's in Paris. So they'll do everything they can to make sure that he has a solid game. And the only thing that he has to do is not press. Killian Hayes last year and earlier this year was, when he came out, he was like, oh my God, I'm on a basketball court in front of people. What am I going to do? Now he's relaxed. Now he just doesn't give a damn. And I think part of it was 2 years in a row after drafting Killian Hayes, the Pistons drafted his position with Cade Cunningham and with Ivy. So I think that played on him. It was like, oh, I'm not good enough, or they're looking for my replacement. But at some point, he said, forget it. This is the NBA. It's a business. I got to do what I can to help this team win. And that's exactly what's happening with him now. Now, if he goes over to Paris and presses, he'll have a bad game. But typically, I'm sure his teammates are going to try to hook the brother up. Make sure he has a good game. You know, forget the 20 points. They want him to have 30. And they're going to make all their layups.
You expect them to put him on full display today?
Yes.
And because what you've seen, and sort of, can we agree that, you know, the Killian Hayes that we've seen the production-wise more as of lately, obviously with more opportunity. But what do you expect, Sam?
I mean, I expect him to have a really good game today. I mean, I've obviously been one of the biggest Killian Hayes skeptics out of pretty much anybody at the network.
Haters.
But hey, maybe. But you know what? I think he deserved it for his first couple seasons, the first month of this season.
That's fair.
That being said, this last month, he's averaging 14 points on 45% shooting and 38 from 3. and 8 assists per game. He's been one of their best players over the past month, hell, maybe even over the past couple of months. And of course, along with him being probably their best perimeter defender and playmaker. So to me, it's just, it's great to see sort of that first ever Troy Weaver draft pick sort of finally find his stride when given more minutes, when he has been pressed into more duty, with Cade Cunningham basically having a lost season. So to me, I expect him to just continue what he's been doing, be more consistent, and today, I really, really expect him to have probably the best game of any Piston. I expect the Pistons to win today, and I expect Killian to be the best player on the floor. And that's coming from me.
Right, but isn't it like one of these things? Like, you know how when I say there's certain games on the calendar that you mark, this has got to be one that I would expect that Killian Hayes, and obviously he's going in with a lot of confidence, isn't he, Spencer? So you got to pay attention to this game. What are you looking for?
Yeah, you put it great. Like, you have all of those matchups to where, oh, this is the team he used to play for. This is the state that he played in. But never, oh, he's going back to his home country. He's going to be in front of his friends and his family from when he was growing up. So I expect him to be very aggressive. I expect him to get to the hole because I've seen, even when he was struggling, even when he wasn't making shots from the beginning, when they first got Killian Hayes, he's had an elite ability to create space off the dribble. And so for him to use that, I think he's going to use that to get to the hole because some of these Chicago guards aren't the best defensive guards. They're big and they're somewhat slow when you're looking at guys like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Caruso's a pretty good defensive guard, but I think Killian will be aggressive, try to get down early. And I'm with Terry. I wouldn't be surprised to see him drop a 30 ball out there, honestly.
Right, I think that absolutely Terry nailed it as far as what do you do in a season, right, where you're looking for moments, right? Because this has been obviously the team, as Neil says all along, right, the eyeball test of the team being better, but the record isn't better and being where they are. But these are the moments where you're going to watch, and I would, if there's only, and I see that Paul said that watching a Pistons game is like chugging a bottle of ketchup.
Yes.
And you know what, it can be. But I think in this case, Terry, this is different. You can separate this one game because of what it means. And if you watch it, maybe culturally, or what it means, if you see the whole team playing and sort of making Killian the spotlight, as somebody said, he's probably playing in front of his granny today, right? Which is great.
You got to do well in front of grandma.
Yeah.
But I think his teammates are thinking, this is not about me. This game, it's like a glorified exhibition game, even though it counts in the standings. Because you're not in the States, you're somewhere else, you're in a foreign arena, and you got a teammate who it would mean the world to him to have a big game. So, as a teammate, I would just sit back and say, this man's having a good game tonight. It's not about me tonight. And yeah, we want to win, but...
And how much to that, guys, is as of recently seeing the play of Killian and through injuries and stuff like this, him taking more of a role, doing things that maybe you expected. Is he turning into the player or becoming the player I guess you expected? The bottom line is he part of the future of this team?
Yes, I believe he is. I do. I think obviously when Cade Cunningham gets back, he's not going to be in the starting lineup, but he could be a very good piece off the bench. He is a piece on a championship roster that is indispensable when you look at a rotational piece. That is a ball handler off the bench, that is a distributor off the bench, that is a very good perimeter defender who can guard multiple positions outside. And he's been shooting very well from three, which is something that I didn't expect. He made changes to his three-point shot coming into this year, so I thought he'd get a little better, but he's been shooting close to 40%. Like Sam said, in the past month, he's been at 38. His past 16 games, he's been at 42%. Like, that is extremely impressive from what he came from. And if he continues to do that, even when we knew what Killian was, nobody, when they thought, this is what he's going to be, this is what we want him to be, is a 25 points a game scorer. Nobody expected that. This is what you expect him at, is 14 to 16 points a game, 8 assists, 2.5 steals, playing great defense, distributing the ball, not turning the ball over. And that is something that is indispensable on a championship roster coming off the bench.
Gary, what do you say?
The thing we forget is, in today's NBA, you need 3 to 4 ball handlers.
Yes.
Because I know one of the criticisms the Pistons received is, well, they got too many point guards. That's way back in the day when you had all point guard. Today, I mean, you need 3, possibly 4 guys who can handle that ball and create their own shot.
What do you say to guys like R.J. Graham, who is yelling this? But is that a lot of pressure to put on Killian Hayes? Is it too much? Are we putting too much pressure on him? Because I don't think so. Because it's right. Like Jaden Ivey, first year, if this was him going back, yeah, the expectations wouldn't be there. But Killian Hayes, it's time to prove that. You know what I correlate this to, Terry? And you have to follow me here, guys. But this could mean as much to him like it meant to me when my dad died in '99, and you remember Scotty Bowman and the whole team came over to the funeral, right, where we took the bus, took practice, but just as a culture. So going back, so I think that it could be bigger than this, and it could be a big part. When you talk about a trip like this, maybe this could really help in that development of these young guys. But I would expect Killian Hayes to ball out tonight.
Yeah, I don't think there's pressure on him. Plus, first of all, they've been over there for a couple of days, and they've done some stuff around Paris. So that takes a little pressure on. But you got to look at Killian Hayes. I'm over here, and my boys want me to have a good game. And they're doing whatever they can to make sure that I do that. That's not pressure. That's love. You're feeling love from your teammates. And I fully expect that. So the pressure thing just disappears.
And this is something that I've seen that it's so cohesive. Since, like, Killian Hayes knocked out Mo Wagner, like, they proved, like, oh, he's got our back. That was kind of a reckoning moment. Like, you saw Hamidou go over there and shove Mo Wagner, and then you see Killian come back in, swing on him, and then everybody's there, and that's like kind of a, I don't know, Killian didn't really fit the Detroit mold because he's a mild-mannered guy, he's a really nice guy, he doesn't really talk too much. When you think of Detroit, you think of, talking crap, being tough-nosed, especially with the Pistons, and Killian didn't really fit that mold. But now this year, since he's been thrust into the starting lineup because of Cade's injury, he's taken over more of a leadership standpoint. He's taken over a lot more responsibility. And you saw with his skirmish with Mo Wagner that, all right, the team's with him now. He's got that attitude now. The team's with him now. They're all backing him. Everybody's playing for each other. And now they're going back to Paris, and it's just going to be another moment, like you said, where his guys are going to help him shine. His guys, his teammates are going to help him shine, and that's what I like to see.
And that incident was very important. There's not a lot of fighting in the NBA, but the fact that he stood up for himself, shoved Wagner, I was thinking, thank God he did that.
Yeah.
Because I thought the man was dead. He didn't shoot, and when he did shoot, he'd miss. But prior to that skirmish, he started shooting. He started making shots. He had a little swagger about him. And, when you mentioned earlier that he's passing the ball well and he's doing some other things, that wasn't good enough.
No.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's cute. I like that he did that. But, dude, you still got to put the ball in the hoop. Mm-hmm. You still got to be a threat. You still have to challenge. My thing with him, not only did he not shoot, he didn't even challenge the defense. You got to make that defense say, oh, damn, here comes Killian Hayes. What am I going to do with him?
He's been playing a lot swaggier now,
right.
too.
And this is one of those games, I think, that for lack of a better reason, being in the middle of the year with a team that is as bad as the Pistons, but you're going to watch because this could some of the things we're looking for. So tomorrow will be interesting to see if you saw what you were looking for, and you guys out here would saw if you were looking for. If you're looking for some mental health people to talk about, because that is huge. Where would you go, Spen?
You'd go to the SMA or the Sports Marketing Agency, because the Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. And trust me, everyone, I used to work in this field. I know that stigma is a big reason why people don't come forward and get help, because they feel like they're going to get judged for doing just that. So if you or someone you know is struggling, make sure you head to thesportsma.com and get the help you deserve.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Downtown Detroit is all decked out this season with the return of the Cadillac Lodge and Monroe Street Midway. The Midway has a giant slide, winter bumper cars, and an indoor arcade. Plus, you can grab drinks at the Lodge before or after Red Wings or Pistons home games. Shop, eat, and play downtown with Decked Out Detroit, or you can check them out at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Welcome back, Big D Energy here on a Thursday. Terry Foster, Darren McCarty, joined as always by Sam Flannel, Svenmo Rax. Again, Pistons on for Paris this afternoon. NBA TV taking on the Bulls. Home kid, Killian Hayes going back home. So, something to watch. Terry, intriguing. You gonna dial into that one?
Well, probably. But let me get this off my chest. I hate international games in the NBA and the National Football League. The camera angles are messed up. The arena is funky looking. The horn sounds different. I just don't like them. If it's not in the United States or Canada, it takes away a little bit for me. And it's not really a big deal, but I just don't like them.
Okay, but so you don't want to, but you will because you are a professional.
Well, it's the Pistons. I'll probably watch them and see how they adjust to that.
I want to see literally how. To the fact is, do they feed? Is it a feed Killian game? Right at home, is it they trying?
Yeah, at some point, and it may not start off that way.
Right. No, but you can tell in the NBA if the ball is trying to go through one player or not. Correct?
Right. And I think it was important that Killian Hayes has played well. Now, if he was still shooting 10% and taking 2 shots a game, they might say, "Nah, we good."
No, he's really earned it. He has earned it, and I think that's what we all agree with here. Let's switch sports, go to the pigskin. Obviously, we're all ecstatic around here with the news the other day of Ben Johnson returning as our offensive coordinator. But now there's talks of Aaron Glenn is being interviewed by the Arizona Cardinals. Straight out, are you worried about losing Aaron Glenn as your defensive coordinator?
I am not. And I hate to say this, but I'm wondering if Aaron Glenn is just getting those obligatory interviews because he's black. Because he wasn't
the Rooney Rule.
The Rooney Rule. You always have to think that because he wasn't really on most people's radar until they started this interview process, and now a couple of teams said, "Well, let's talk to Aaron Glenn."
Now, is it more so that you don't take it seriously because you believe it's not a serious interview?
I don't think it's a serious interview. I haven't heard his name associated with any teams. But now all of a sudden, you start interviews, and you have to have a brother or two on there. So all of a sudden, Aaron Glenn is getting interviews. I just don't think it's that serious.
Right. So if we take this conversation about Aaron Glenn as opposed to the Ben Johnson with Carrot, you thought those were all serious.
I thought
there was a legitimate
serious
opportunity.
But
for Johnson.
I think the thing that Ben Johnson may have found out is that when he interviewed, it was probably a lot more with these teams than he was bargaining for. And maybe he didn't want to have to deal with ownership who meddled. There was probably certain aspects within those organizations he didn't want to deal with, and maybe the pay wasn't what he expected it to be. So he's like, you know what? I'll make my little statement. I want to build things in Detroit and things to be great, and I'm going to stay here. I think that played a factor. So
Terry thinks that, the seriousness, and this is just all going through the Rooney Rule and doing it because you have to do it. The other thing that I was looking at it is I always looked at it as if I had a choice of who I would retain or who would stay, I'd want Ben Johnson. But my question is, Terry, is that because I'm looking for the next Ben Johnson as my defensive coach? Like, is Aaron Glenn the right defensive coordinator for this Detroit Lions job if he doesn't take a coach elsewhere?
I think he proved that.
Okay.
First of all, he had a bad defense, and it played that way. But at some point, you have to figure that out. And whether he got with Dan Campbell, whether he got with other coaches, they figured it out. So that helps his cause there. And it leads me to believe that the Lions are not going to have the defensive struggles at the beginning of next season that they had at the beginning of this season. They may not be great, but maybe they come out the chute. Lions defense is mediocre, which you would have taken in the first 8 games of the season. It wasn't even mediocre. It was historically bad.
Right, when you're scoring 40 points and 30 and losing games and stuff like this. You look at the Miami game, the Seattle game, even the Buffalo game, all this stuff. You're in there, so you have to improve. So,
or how about this? The Lions offense scores in 2.5 minutes, and the other team says, "Watch this. We're going to score in 90 seconds. You ain't going to stop it." That's what was happening.
So is it more that? So this is just smoke and mirrors. You shouldn't, if you wouldn't worry about losing Aaron Glenn to another coach because we haven't heard it.
Yeah, may not be completely, because I do have to throw this one thing in. The defense did improve. When you look at his resume for the last 7 or 8 games, you look at him and say, you know what? That's pretty damn good. He figured that out, so maybe I would want to talk to him. But the Rooney Rule has me believing that this might be tokenism, because I didn't hear his name. I heard his name last year prior, but I didn't hear his name this time. Now, if he's back in the hopper next year, I think I would take it more seriously.
Now, Sam, what do you think about this? Do you take this sort of seriously? Because if I look at Aaron Glenn, like I could see him as a head coach, as a leader of men. Right, where I'm looking at Ben Johnson, it's too soon. You can be, but I like to see you get more reps, right? Being younger. Aaron Glenn's been around a lot. That's why I could see it, but I also believe what Terry's saying, and you hear this with other teams interviewing different guys. How's the offensive coordinator in Denver getting getting interviews and stuff to Terry's point. But Sam, is this something you're worried about? But I take it that you were more like me, more worried about Ben Johnson leaving than Aaron Glenn. But where are you at with Aaron Glenn?
Well, of course I was more worried about Ben Johnson leaving, because that was a top 5 offense under Ben Johnson. The totality of the defense for the season for the Lions was still not good. But what Aaron Glenn did the last 10 games of the season was he basically turned it around. He did the one thing that he could do to restore my faith in him after that historically bad start. In those 10 games, obviously the Lions were 8-2, and in 6 of those games, the Lions allowed less than 20 points, and they were 6-0 in those games. And another thing I think we have to look at with Aaron Glenn, and why I think a team would maybe want him as their head coach, is I think we all agree that the Lions rookie class this year was spectacular. I think around the room that's pretty universal. And why was that? Because of defensive players, not because of offensive players, because of guys like Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, Kirby Joseph, Malcolm Rodriguez, and their insane development under Aaron Glenn. And you have to give him a ton of credit. And if you're a team that has a lot of young players and you look at what Aaron Glenn did with those defensive rookies for the Lions, that would be intriguing to me. So I don't think it's just smoke and mirrors. I am a little bit worried that we could lose Aaron Glenn, that the Lions could lose Aaron Glenn, but at the same time, I think the NFL is kind of moving more towards offensive coaches. I don't know. I think he'll stay, but I don't blame teams for wanting to interview him. He did a spectacular job at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think if I had to take generic offensive coordinator, generic defensive coordinator, and hire one as my head coach, I would go for the offensive coordinator, because the rules are set up. It's difficult for the defense. And I say this, for the most part, you don't stop an offense in the National Football League. They kick a field goal, or they make a offensive error, or you pick them off, or recover a fumble. You just don't roll up and go 3 and out for the most part. And because now what they're doing in the NFL, if it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 1.5, they're going for it. They didn't do that back in the day. So it's very difficult to stop an offense. So you want that creative offensive mind to think about, okay, what are we going to do to score a bunch of points?
No, and I think that too when you look at Arizona and stuff like that. But Spencer, my thing is too it's to Sam's point about the improvement in the youth and stuff like this. Yes, if you had to give me a choice, I'm choosing Ben Johnson with another year with this offense. But I changed my tune from beginning of the year as this defense has improved, and I want to see Aaron Glenn back. I want to see this team back with one more shot at it before, guys are gone from free agency or they poach our coaching tree or Dan Campbell's coaching tree starts. Is that not fair to say? Because it would be more of a loss, I think, because of what they've built, to Sam's point.
Yeah, I agree. And it's obviously Ben Johnson did he's probably the better coordinator, but I think Aaron Glenn would be the better head coaching candidate, because Terry made a great point too about him being a leader of men, him having those leadership capabilities where you see him. Me and Easy spoke to Aleem McNeil at when we were at the Pistons game, and he said Aaron Glenn's a genius. He's a defensive genius. And you look at what he's doing, and the Lions in the past 7 games of the season had the 4th best DVOA in the NFL, which is defensive value over average. So it's how much better you are than the average median defense, and they were 4th in the NFL. And so it's impressive, like you guys all said, the improvement of the rookies, how much they've gone, and even not the rookies or the second-year guys. Look at his veterans that he has. It's an Alex Anzalone who had the best year of his career. It's a guy like Isaiah Buggs and John Kaminsky that they poached off of waivers that come in here and be immediate factors and important pieces. So Aaron Glenn deserves credit for what he's done for sure, and he deserves coaching opportunity. But I agree. I also agree with Terry. I do think it is just a Rooney Rule type of thing, which is I don't like the Rooney Rule. I think I don't know. It is the tokenism. You're not taking these candidates seriously. It's disingenuous. You're not taking them seriously.
I don't like it either. But guess what? If you don't have it, we don't get hired.
Yeah,
that's the thing. For whatever reason, black people have to always go through these little games in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, we were too stupid to play quarterback. Couldn't play center.
Never get a kicker.
Can't be a coach.
Yeah.
Can't be, we have to get through all these hurdles, but you have to have something in place, because our owner's not going to just say, I like this black guy. I'm gonna hire him.
And
now I got into it with Lion fans back in the day. I used to talk to Andrea Kramer, who covered the NFL, and every spring or summer she would call me and tell me who the hot assistant coaches were, and it reached the point where the Lions are sort of thinking of replacing Wayne Fontes, and she told me, dude, you got to push Tony Dungy in Detroit. First of all, he loves the Lions. He's from Michigan. He's a really good coach. He's going to challenge for a championship somewhere. So why not Detroit? So I talked to her for a couple weeks. So I started pushing Tony Dungy in some of my columns. The response from the readers, the only reason you pushing him is because he's black. The rumor was, and this is what they do for every black candidate, well, he doesn't interview well.
Yeah.
So I had to, dealing with people with that.
Can he control the sidelines?
Huh?
Can he control the sidelines?
Yeah, it's so many dumb things that you have to deal with. So I heard all of those things. Then he goes to Tampa, and then I started getting letters from people. How come you didn't push Tony Dungy hard enough? I did.
Yeah.
You told me no. The only reason you pushed him is because he's freaking black. So that's on y'all. So the hell with all of y'all.
Well, to the Lions and the Fords or whatever, they hired Jim Caldwell, right? They also, I thought, fired him too early too. But look at, isn't there? I think I saw in the chat thread, and it's wrong, but there aren't 7 GMs. Black, our guy's a black guy, and he's doing a hell of a job and knows what it is. Maybe other teams might get on board because these guys are, Ozzie Newsome did a heck of a job with
right.
there's there's black gentlemen that are unbelievable football minds running organizations, making the biggest decisions. Why isn't it the best man for the job? I understand that.
Because the belief is we are never the best man for the job. We had to go through, is he smart enough? Is he qualified? There's so many hurdles you got to go through. People don't feel sorry. And I talked to an athletic director in the SEC, and he selected a black coach but the alumni didn't like him.
You know what's crazy?
So he had to back off.
It's crazy because, here, if you're looking for who's one of the most tenured coaches to play, it's Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh and what they do and that. So I don't get it. I get it because that's the way it is. And if you're sitting, you've experienced it, you've watched it, you've talked about it, wrote columns and stuff. So I'm just glad of the guys that we have in control here. So whether we lose Aaron Glenn or not, I hope we don't, because I'd like to see another season building. But I'm leaning more to you, Terry, that it's more,
But I also think that I'd rather have Aaron Glenn as my head coach than Ben Johnson, because if Dan Campbell is going to pick one of them to motivate his team, to educate his team, he's going to pick Aaron Glenn.
Yes.
And I think Ben Johnson is one of those guys, when we're in the room together, he does a good job of
he's a great X's and O's guy.
X's and O's guy, and that's fine. But it's different to be a head coach.
Yeah.
You gotta rev up the troops. You got to do a lot of things. For instance, Rod Marinelli. And we make fun of Rod Marinelli in this town because he was a disaster as a head coach. But very good coordinator. There's some guys, I'm a coordinator. That's what I am. But you put me in that big seat, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Just because you're a coordinator of anything does not mean that you're a great head coach. But you know what? One place you can go is always on top. That's Lady Jane's. Come to Lady Jane's for award-winning haircut experience. Register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win the down payment for your dream home. Up to $200,000. I said it, $200K. How do you do it? You get to a Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week. You walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Matrix Home Solutions is your go-to for any home project. Looking for a new man cave? They are the basement remodel experts. They also specialize in bathrooms and kitchens. An A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Call 888-594-8844 or go to matrixhomesolutions.com.
Welcome back, Big D Energy. Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Flannel Sam, Stan Mo Rax, just talking about Aaron Glenn. Rooney Rule getting an opportunity to interview with the Cardinals. Will he stay? Will he go? We want him back. But, when we're talking about having Ben Johnson back and Aaron, all this, we're talking about the culture. The culture in Allen Park, which was created by, obviously from the top on down. But one of the big things is comes to a question of when it comes down to your players and it's time to re-sign them. How important for the culture of the Lions is it to re-sign Jamaal Williams? And I form this as re-signing Jamaal Williams the number one priority for this locker room and this team, as far as players on your roster.
Yeah, there's always a few guys who just push your team. And sometimes they push your team beyond their limitations. And Jamaal Williams is one of those guys. I mean, when Dan Campbell wants a player to break down the huddle, he goes Jamaal Williams, and he knows he's going to do his thing. This is a guy that we've seen cry twice, and it wasn't tears of weakness, it was tears of passion. There's a lot of guys that show up, they work hard, but they come in, do their work, mingle with teammates, and they go home. And I'm not going to say they don't care, but they're winning and losing is not death to them. I think Jamaal Williams, winning and losing is like death to him. Death or life. So you need a few guys like that on your team who are productive, and he's one of them. I don't want to see him leave because he's just, it's almost like he's
You've been around locker
Dan
rooms, Terry.
Campbell.
You've been around all sorts of locker rooms and whatever like this, and this guy brings something that's special into a locker room that can take it to the next level, not only because of his play on the field and being your, obviously setting the touchdown record and stuff like this, but your goal line, right? But he does whatever's needed to take. To me, whatever you ask him, if you ask him if he needed to cover a guy, in special teams, or you lost all your safeties and you need him to go play safety, he's the guy that would know.
And if he was taller, like if you had a Hail Mary situation, he would volunteer, let me go back into the secondary and try to knock the ball down.
Okay, so you've been around obviously different teams, but is there a comparable that people can understand out there of maybe who was this guy on the Bad Boys? Like who was the heart? Like was there this guy, or maybe on our teams or whatever? But you need, because it's the go-to guy to the coach, to the GM, to the guy that has a pulse of everybody in that locker room that everybody respects, right? That's the number one thing, is that you could say Pokemon and all this other stuff, but there's the utmost respect from everybody, all of his teammates and in that organization, because he does the work, right?
Yeah.
Because he goes out.
Bad Boys were a different era, obviously. It's easy to say maybe Isaiah Thomas was, because Isaiah would get upset or Isaiah would push them. Now everybody thought that the tough guys in that team were Rick Mahorn and Bill Laimbeer. But in the back, Isaiah's shoving them, tweaking them and saying, hey, do this. So I said they were more like Sergeant at Arms, but Isaiah was the one getting them geeked up. And the going to work Pistons, I would say it was Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace, obviously a great defensive player, or off-the-ball defender, but he was a guy, when he saw slippage, and there was slippage when it became like Chauncey Billups' team, Ben would sulk. Ben would cuss his teammates out. Say, yes, y'all can score. That's fine, but that's not what we're about. You got to defend. If you don't, we're not going to win. Hey, that was a rhyme. If you don't defend, we will not win.
But do you not see the Jamaal Williams mentality throughout this Lions team? Sort of like, would you say they've taken on, and obviously they take on, you say they take on the coach's persona, right? We can say that, but along those lines, is Jamaal Williams is lockstep with your coach?
Yeah, he is.
Cut from the same cloth.
I look at it this way. Yes, Dan Campbell is the motivator of this team, but sometimes you have stragglers. Sometimes you have slippage, and that's where Jamaal Williams comes in to remind them of what the mission is. Remind them of, if you don't work hard, we're going to be back here. And so that's why he's important.
So would you say, Spence, he's the number one priority to re-sign?
I'd say, yeah. They're looking at it. He is a big guy in the locker room. He's a big culture guy. He's a big, good fit. Obviously, very productive last year. It was his first season in his career. He had over 200 carries. Also, the first season in his career that he broke 1,000 rushing yards. And we know that he broke Barry Sanders' touchdown record for the Lions, which is very impressive. I think it is an important piece to do because everybody likes him. The guys love him. The team loves him. The NFL loves him, the fans love him, and he's productive on the field. And I talked about it yesterday on the heavyweights. Outside of just off the field culture and what he means to his teammates, but on the field culture, that's what the Lions are trying to be. They're trying to be this smash mouth. We have this great offensive line. We can go up there and we can run it down your throat. And as good as DeAndre Swift can be, as explosive as he can be, Jamaal is that power back. Jamaal is the guy that you can give the ball to, and he's just going to hammer the whole pause over and over and just keep going. DeAndre Swift isn't that kind of back. So you need a guy like Jamaal Williams that you can just give the ball to, and he can run those smash mouth plays when you want to assert your dominance with that great offensive line.
You know what the best thing about Jamaal Williams, though, Terry?
What?
His availability.
Yes, that's true. But
I
want to shock you right now. Jamaal Williams was the type of player the Lions did not want on their roster. Because one thing he will also do, he'll motivate you, he'll yell at you, he'll get you geeked up, but he'll also tell you what's wrong with this team. Lions they wanted no part of someone who would say, hey, look, fellas, this is messed up, we got to do this, or the coaching staff needs to do better than this. They didn't want guys like that on there. And he will do that, and I think it's important for players to have ownership. In the National Football League, I don't know what it's like in the NHL as much, but in the National Football League, these are not, at least your top players, they're not if you're ownership, these are not your employees. You're in a partnership. And the thing that Lions always forgot, we're in a partnership with these players. People don't come to see us play, they come see these players play. They come to see the Lions play. And the Ford family treated them like employees. They didn't respect them as much. And the only player they would ever listen to was two. Two players they would listen to would be Chris Spielman and Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders chose not to talk to them. And I think Chris Spielman was just so into himself in that locker room that he didn't really want to communicate with management until later in his career and after he retired.
You know what the one thing about Jamaal Williams, Sam, and I'm going to ask you about this because it goes to what I always say about this Lions team growing as a 3 units as one, because usually doesn't it happen that you have this guy motivator, he's either on offense or defense, and it just sort of stays, you see it, but it's just sort of like the offensive thing. It doesn't bleed into the rest of the team. What Jamaal Williams' attitude does, you can see it bleed into the Hutchinsons and the Rodrigos and the younger guys and stuff like this. Like, this is something that infests the whole team, and they all play that same attitude. That's another big reason, Terry, because a lot of times you don't have a guy that can bring all 3 units together.
And maybe not in the same way, but guess who's going to become Jamaal Williams in 2 or 3 years? Rodrigo and Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
They're going to be the ones jumping up and down and say, hey, what's happening? Come on, we don't, this is not us. So they're going to take on that mantle. But it's hard for a rookie to do that.
No, it is, Sam. And how do you see Jamaal Williams? Number one priority to re-sign?
I mean, for the right price, absolutely. And he does seem like the guy that might take a hometown discount. I mean, Jamaal Williams is obviously a guy who's a great culture guy, great in the locker room. But one of the reasons he's able to be that, and I don't know if we've even given him enough credit, he's a damn good running back. And he played the position at the highest level of his career by far this season. He did something for this team that DeAndre Swift has never proven that he can do. Be that every down back, a guy that gets over 260 carries, 1,000 yards rushing, breaks a Barry Sanders Detroit Lions rushing record, the touchdown record, which cannot be overstated. And he also had 65 first downs. And that just keeps drives going and going and going. And he's kind of that perfect running back to run behind that dominant offensive line. He just hammers out those 4-yard carries. And to me, Jamaal Williams was one of the most valuable players on the team this year. I want to make sure he gets his flowers for being a good running back, not just a good leader and a culture guy, which he most certainly is.
No, I mean, one other thing, let me just say, there's no such thing as a hometown discount. We talk about it, we believe it's there, but 99% of the time there's no hometown discount because players are under pressure from the players union, they're under pressure from their agents, they're under pressure from their fellow teammates to make sure that salary keeps increasing. So there's no hometown discounts.
Well, you know what? And Sam, you nailed it. Obviously, and we talked about it before. But you should be able to get them for around $8.5, $9 million, 2 years, whatever it is. But you're right, for the right price and everything like that. But the intangibles that go to them. When we come back, let's talk about what's his ceiling for year 2. What are your expectations? So let's say we have re-signed him back in Ben Johnson's offense. How does that look? But first, Sam, tell me what I can get to fire me through the second hour.
Absolutely. We're talking about Syntron, of course, and Syntron is doing something really cool. Win a VIP experience from Syntron. Get special access to a private Red Wings practice Wednesday, January 25th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. All you have to do is type the word Syntron in the chat right now, and we will select a winner by the end of the show. Make sure you keep watching to find out who today's VIP winner is. All brought to you by Syntron.
Wow.
What's a winter wonderland if you can't shop, eat, and play? Lucky for you, you can do it all at the Downtown Detroit Markets, Cadillac Lodge, and the new winter version of the Monroe Street Midway, all located just across the street from Campus Martius Park. Find the fun at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
We've been telling you about custom health centers for weeks now. Get your customized approach to weight loss. Think all the ways that weight affects your health, mental, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. CHC is blessed to have over 20,000 success stories like our man here on the bottom line, Ryan Ermanni, even though that is not him, but he has, and he will tell you, has lost over 15 pounds. Also, too, former Lions kicker Eddie Murray and bad boy Rick Mahorn, they are part of Custom Life. So if you want to take your health by the horns, give Custom Health a call today. 844-789-8446. Call Dr. Jason. He'll answer your call. 844-789-8446. Take your health into your own hands.
And now it's time for the Monroe Street Midway Minute. The Midway has swapped out roller skating, basketball, and mini golf for a giant Arctic slide, winter bumper cars, an indoor arcade, and puck putt. With free entry to the site, enjoy a variety of new activities aimed at creating exceptional winter experiences for everyone. Get to the Midway this winter to enjoy tasty treats while making magical memories during the holiday season. And those tasty treats include, but are not limited to, burgers, pierogi, homemade chili, chicken sandwiches, mac and cheese bites, and gluten-free and vegan goodies so everyone can have something to eat. And of course, don't forget about the Woodward Sports Winter Olympics. You'll be able to compete against Darren McCarty, Braylon Edwards, Adam Bate-Dune, Jeff Iafrady, Ryan Ermanni, the heavyweights, and all the Woodward Sports family in Monroe Street Midway games. So go downtown, check out the Monroe Street Midway, presented by Bedrock Detroit.
Welcome back. Second hour, Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Spenmo, Rax Flannel, Sam. Spenny, why don't you throw up as we continue this Jamaal Williams? Do people agree that is Jamaal Williams our number one priority to re-sign? You know, and if not, I'd love to hear who guys think is more of a priority. But saying that we do sign, we get the deal that we want back in this offense. What does a Jamaal Williams second year under this offense, with this offense continuing to click, right? I would expect this offense to improve, Terry, right? They did some great things this year. Maybe they won't score at the rate they do, but the consistency and the effectiveness, they should be better, shouldn't they?
They should be, but it's hard for me to say what he's going to be because I still hold out hope that I just went blank. That Swift will be a better back. Swift will be more productive. And if you look at talent, Swift is more talented than Jamaal Williams. So if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm hoping Swift can carry the ball at least 15 times a game, can be productive with that, and Jamaal Williams would be my number 2. But if that's not the case, then Jamaal Williams, obviously, I'm going to be more of a power team, and we're going between the tackles, and I would imagine, I don't know if you'll have more touchdowns, but more yardage and more yards per carry.
No, I totally agree. I don't expect the numbers to be even close because I expect DeAndre Swift to be more available and to take a bigger role. And I think what we saw in the second half of the year is how to make him available, right? Not overusing him. Now, hey, he might be fragile and not be as available, but to have the option whether Williams is there or not. Because, Terry, to be honest, in my opinion, is that this offense is sort of at its ceiling with Jamaal Williams as your 1, right? What you saw, I mean, how can they do better than what they've done, right? When you put Swift in there and get him more yardage, more carries, more availability, I think that is going to lead to more points. Am I off with that, Sam?
No, absolutely not. I mean, like Terry said, I'm hoping that DeAndre Swift can be more healthy, can be a bigger part of this offense consistently, because I think the offense will hit their ceiling if DeAndre Swift kind of shows out and can be a bigger part. But that being said, Jamaal Williams has already proven that he can be an RB1 on a team. Even if he's not on this team, even if that's not kind of naturally where you want him to be, he's shown that he can do it. And this offense was pretty damn good this year. So no matter what DeAndre Swift does, I don't think he'll ever be a guy that gets like 260 carries in a season and stays healthy. So you're going to need a guy like Jamaal Williams to maybe split the carries half and half. If DeAndre Swift is more healthy, I expect Jamaal Williams to have maybe less of an impact on the stat sheet, but be just as important. But even if DeAndre Swift does, like he always has, get banged up, Jamaal Williams can step right in and be that guy who maybe gets 1,000 yards again, is that goal line back. So I think Jamaal Williams, if they re-sign him, no matter what his role is, will be extremely integral and be a big part of this team.
Isn't the Jamaal Williams stat line wins and losses, though?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't we judge him on this team making the playoffs and other things like that? Because, Sam, what you're telling me here is, are you willing to say on this Thursday of the Big D Energy program that DeAndre Swift will never be a 1,000 guy because you don't think he'll be available, or do you think he's got a shot? Do you still hold hope?
God, I don't think he'll ever be a 1,000 guy. I could see there's no precedent for it. He's every single year he's been banged up. I mean, his career high in rushing yards is 621. So until I see it, I don't think he can ever be an 1,000-yard rusher. I think that he could be effective in a smaller role, but the Lions are going to need Jamaal Williams to at least take half the carries, maybe more.
Jamaal Williams is your Humvee, right? DeAndre Swift is your summer Corvette. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, with an engine that works sometimes.
Doesn't the availability, the dependability, what you can count on, Terry?
Right, but see, here's the tricky thing with Swift is they know he's a playmaker. Jamaal Williams is not a playmaker. And playmakers are different, and they're special from the standpoint they can break 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-yard runs. They force the defense to play a certain way. They can do things that are special. Jameson Williams and DeAndre Swift are two of those guys. So Jamaal Williams is blue collar. He does his yeoman work. He's tough, but he's not a playmaker. But sometimes you wait too long for playmakers to become one when they're injured and everything. And I wonder how long the Lions are willing to go with DeAndre Swift saying, okay, next year he'll do it. No, next year he'll do it. How long?
But to that point, didn't you see them moving off of that this year?
But every year is different.
Okay. So, Spence, where do you stand with this? Because, if I'm going to throw numbers, I don't. It's wins and losses because of the little things that he does, and I just think that they use the two vehicles. If you're using my vehicle analogy, is they don't bring the Corvette. They figured they can't bring it out when it's even like a chance of rain.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So to me, it just seems more important because when I don't have to think about one guy in that running back locker room not only being available, but what he's going to do when I give him the ball, right, and how much he cares, it's a no-brainer, isn't it, Spence?
Yeah, for sure. It's especially this year, because this is his contract year coming up. So he's going to want to show out. He's going to want to prove that he can do it, that he can take those carries, that he can make things happen. And so I expect him to go out there and produce. I expect them to use him a lot, because I don't know if they re-sign him. I don't know if they bring him back. I would be on the other side of that if you're asking me right now if they'd bring him back or not. But they're going to use him a lot next year, and they're going to get as much of the tread off the tires as they can.
Well, maybe you flip it. Maybe you make Jamaal Williams your number one, and DeAndre Swift is your gimmick guy.
Yeah, I think that's what they do that more
right.
to the end of the year.
That's what they did, but like I said, every year is different, and I'm sure they're going to want to make DeAndre Swift their number one guy because of the potential that he has.
And I'm sure, to your point, Terry, in the perfect world, they'd want it exactly like you, but they're not afraid to go the other way around. Right. They've showed that they can win doing it that way.
It worked with the 72 Dolphins when they went unbeaten. They had Larry Zonka was their power guy, but he was the number one guy. Mm-hmm. Mercury Morris was their gimmick guy or their speed guy, the guy they ran around in. So it can be done that way.
God, he was fast. His name was Mercury.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
There's a lot of chat going on in the Woodward Sports chat about lunch and what's going on for lunch. And all I know is the only decision you really need when you're thinking lunch is to go to Cousins Bay and Lobster.
Oh.
Because Woodward Sports loves lobster. And what better way to get your fix than Cousins Bay and Lobster? With 2 trucks rolling around Detroit, you can make sure to find the best lobster rolls, lobster tots, lobster tacos, and Terry and my favorite lobster grilled cheese to power through the day. Go to cousinsbayandlobster.com to find their schedule, or you can scan that QR code right there on the screen right now and figure out where they are rolling around the city. Make sure you check out Cousins Maine Lobster.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
It's the new year, so let Guardian Alarm offer you. How about customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians that take the time to recommend the security and automation solutions specific to your needs, whether they're personal or business. But I need you to call a Guardian Alarm. Here's the number, 1-800.
Stay out.
Yes, 24/7 professional monitoring calls at any time, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed, but I need you to call 1-800.
Stay out.
Technology backed by people, your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work time after time, and people that care about what you care about the most, they do. Like Sam Flannel and his flannel protection. How many straight days of flannel protection?
197.
197 straight days of flannel protection, and 2 days of Terry wearing a flannel.
Yes.
Protected too. Yes, whatever it takes. Guardian Alarm, they're your people. Please give them a call today. 1-800.
Stay out. Stay out of the playoffs, Seattle Seahawks.
Guardian Alarm, your local security expert. Tell them, Big D Energy, we sent you. All right. Coming back hot and heavy here. Big D energy on a Thursday, Terry. Talking about running backs and DeAndre Swift and Jamaal Williams and signing and all this different stuff. A lot of success coming to the Detroit.
You know what the funny thing is today? We're talking about how a running back is so important for the Detroit Lions. Because in the National Football League, for the most part, when we talk about running backs, they're disposable.
Yeah, but would you not? And here's the one thing, which is to your point, to add to it, the 1,000-yard season, the record-setting touchdowns. That's not the most important part of this kid's bag. It's what this kid brings to the team, and I think it's like individually. When you can start looking at this team, like you said, because who are going to be those guys? I totally agree. Down the road, learning, and that's why learning as a team, no matter if you're on offense, defense, special teams, that's the culture that we're talking about. And right, brought in the Dan Campbell, which leads me to obviously coming down. We were talking about Coach of the Year. We were talking about, Coach of the Year. It's been a conversation about Nick Sirianni leading the way. Philadelphia with a great year they had. Obviously, look at the Giants. Brian Daboll getting them in the playoffs and winning a game. Obviously, our guy Dan Campbell deserved some props and stuff like this. But here's a question I have for you, right? Because now we're looking at some of the younger coaches, some of the inexperienced coaches that are seeing some success. And one of them is our guy in Dan Campbell, who we can say, obviously, we know from being here, finishing 8-10, talking about addressing all the different things and making the culture different here in Detroit. But what Brian Daboll's done in New York with that New York Giants team is you got to tip your hat too, right? Because is Daniel Jones, does he not get talked in the same length as like a Jared Goff? And, Saquon Barkley's really their own guy. They got no receivers, although this Ricky James kid looks really good. But, the question, Terry, who will have a more successful coaching career? Is it too early to tell? But are both these guys, is this more of the norm that you expect?
It's probably too early to tell.
Too early?
But I'm going to step in the mess anyway and say Dan Campbell. Because I really believe that he has a very good GM in Brad Holmes. And whatever he wants, he's going to get. And it's going to be top caliber. The other thing that we're looking at the Detroit Lions is they brought in a bunch of rookies, and I'm sure they were fine players, but they were also developed by the Lions coaching staff, so that's got to help too. So there's been some guys who've come in here, not worked out here, but go somewhere else, and they all of a sudden become pretty good players. Now, the players they bring in are good players here, not somewhere else, and that's very important too.
And that's changed, right?
That has changed.
And that's different. Do you see a lot of similarities between what the Giants and what the Detroit has going on? Is this one of these things that these teams are going to be building together, sort of like NFC, that this could become, sort of a rivalry?
It could be. I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Lions and Giants second round of the playoffs in the next 3 or 4 years. And then, but then we're going to have to be careful, because whoever wins that game, we're going to say, that's the next great thing. And that may not be. It's just one game. Because the Lions have already played in that game where whoever won a playoff game was the next great thing. The Lions won it, and they were not the next great thing. So you have to sustain stuff all the way through. That's why yesterday when you guys accused me of being scared, I said, don't dismiss bringing in a backup quarterback to develop down the road. Because you don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You don't want to be good for 2 or 3 years. You want to sustain this for 5, 6, 7 years. Because it's happened in other cities. Why can't it happen here?
I understand that. But where's your confidence level? The confidence level in what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, to your point. And here's the one thing, Terry. Because usually when we're having a conversation, and this is like in past, we're talking Lions or whatever, this hasn't been addressed. The Lions never address these issues. All these issues you're talking about, the backup quarterback not being in the same position, addressing to re-signing guys, what the expectations out of your rookies, what are we going to see? These are all questions that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are getting in front of.
Question for Lion fans who are listening. When was the last time the Lions had a backup quarterback on the roster, and you said, this guy's good.
Sean Hill.
Sean Hill?
No.
Sean Hill? Like, no, but like do it serviceable, like if your number one guy went down?
Right.
Think you could win a game? I'd say Sean Hill. And who would you say, Terry?
I say nobody.
No, ever?
Never.
Ever?
Not since Stafford got here.
Okay.
You could say in the 90s, maybe one of their backups was good when they had Eric Kramer and Rodney Peete. They could function and carry a football team, the backup, whoever's the backup that week, because Wayne kept changing it all the time. But since then, it's particularly under Matthew Stafford, I always look at their backups and I say, I have no faith in this guy. None.
How do you guys look at the Jet, like for real, right? When we're looking at different teams, like I look at like even Minnesota, right? Even Miami, obviously losing Tua and stuff like this. But there's, as a younger coaches, I still have sort of my questions. Brian Daboll and Dan Campbell keep proving if I have questions, then they sort of address them. Do you see the Giants and Lions sort of on the same sort of trajectory? Obviously, the Giants are ahead, right? When arguably they shouldn't be, but that
I wouldn't agree with that.
Well, they won a playoff game last week on the road.
But what happened when the Lions went to New York or New Jersey to play them?
Punched them in the
I
mouth.
understand, Terry, but I'm bottom lining this with the Giants still have an opportunity to win the trophy. The Lions don't. So I agree that when they play each other, and I'm just going by one team made the playoffs and went on the road and won, another team hasn't made it yet. I think that the Lions are a better team?
One went to an arena to play a team that the whole world said was a fraud.
Yeah, but the fact is you have to prove that they're a fraud. Just because I say you're a fraud, they got to go out and do it. That's what I'm saying.
And they proved it.
So, am I wrong to say that? So you're telling me that the Giants don't get extra credit or above the Lions this year because they won a playoff, because the Lions beat them?
What was it? Didn't they have the same record?
No,
the Giants were 9-7-1.
No,
pretty much.
Well,
but what I'm saying is that, and you know what, the 9-7-1 to the 9-8 might be the difference between this team.
Could be, but I looked at the
Giants. Because I agree with you, the Lions could have gone in there and done what the Giants done.
I looked at the Giants as a team that had a nice beginning and was fading.
And then
they weren't as good at the end. The Lions were much better later on in the season they were earlier in the season.
I understand, but the bottom line is what Daniel Jones is doing and what Brian Daboll is doing with that team and all the differences. I mean, we talked about it after the Giants game when Kirk Cousins forced to throw a 3-yard 4th and 8 to Hawkinson. If you watch the play again, that defense gave him no choice. So I think that, to your point, Terry, can we agree that the Giants being 9-7-1 and the Lions being 9-8, that's the little bit of ahead of a nudge because they've done it in the playoffs and they've got the playoff victory. We haven't had one yet.
I would still give the edge to the Lions because of the head-to-head. And I just think the Giants were not the same team later in the year that they were at the beginning. So that's my tiebreaker. But this is one of those things where everyone has, different.
Is this a both things could be true, Sam?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what Neil would say. Oh, both things could be true. Guys, don't argue. If he was here.
I suppose both things can be true because I think towards absolutely at the home stretch of the season, the Lions were definitely playing better football than the Giants, and I think the Lions could have went into Minnesota and won that playoff game too. But the fact of the matter is the Giants actually did go into Minnesota and win that playoff game. They faded towards the end of the season, but they started off so strong. And to be honest, with the Giants winning that playoff game and in my opinion kind of convincing fashion, I'm not sure if the Giants were frauds. I thought that they were, but that the fact they were able to go do that, and I think that speaks to how great of a coaching job that Brian Daboll has done. I mean, I would vote for him as my coach of the year, even over Dan Campbell, although I respect what Dan Campbell's done, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think this season that Brian Daboll proved that he might just be an offensive genius. Because I think that's what he showed in Buffalo working with Josh Allen, getting Josh Allen from being sort of that raw rookie to maybe the second best quarterback in the league. I mean, Daniel Jones this season, highest ever completion percentage, most passing yards, highest touchdown to interception ratio, highest quarterback rating ever, highest QBR ever. He wasn't a turnover machine anymore. And Brian Daboll utilized Daniel Jones' ground game more than he ever had, because Daniel Jones can run. He's always shown that in spurts, but this season it was a big part of the Giants' offense. He had more rushing touchdowns this season than his previous 3 combined. And not to mention, Saquon Barkley had his career high in rushing yards. So, to me, I don't know if the Giants were frauds. And Brian Daboll did a damn good job. He's my coach of the year.
Last word, Spenny, on this one.
Hold on, go ahead. We can't go by this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. When you hear the quote-unquote football experts talk about this game, I don't hear anybody saying, damn, did you see what the Giants did? They were fantastic. What I'm hearing is Minnesota is just exactly what we thought they were.
Someone had to take advantage,
does this remind you of the Giants teams that win in the playoffs coming in late? Like this, does this have not Giants written all over it? Like I looking at this game, they got a chance to win this game in Philly. Now, you shouldn't say that, but talk about, do you see, I look at it, Spence, as Daboll, with the Giants, with Jacksonville, and Detroit. Like, those are the 3 next generation teams that are coming out. Now, obviously, Jacksonville has the Super Bowl coach, and we've proven that. Sam mentions what Brian Daboll has done in the past as a quarterback whisperer to that, but is it fair enough to say that we're at least head-to-head, or would you give the Giants a little bit of a nod this year? Because
I'd give them a little bit of a nod just because they did end up making it into the playoffs and winning that game, but I think it's very close, and I could see them head-to-head. I don't think Doug Peterson's getting enough run for Coach of the Year, taking the worst team in the NFL, winning his division, and winning a playoff game. Obviously, the postseason doesn't factor into it, but still, going from literally worst team in the NFL to winning your division is impressive. And what else is impressive is the lineup of comfort foods that they got at Big Boy. Because I'm telling you, it is pretty impressive. They have the meatloaf. I got to get that loaf. They've got the Cajun chicken Alfredo. And what about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The Lumberjack, the Santa Fe Garden, and the Blockbuster. Make sure you stop into your local Big Boy today and satisfy those taste buds.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991? Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals. They'll beat all your competitors by $5. Don't forget to pick up Australian Gold, Designer Skin, Caltan, and Swedish Beauty Lotion. ChiliPeppersTanning.com, the hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, the darkest tans, your vitamin D headquarters. 27 locations and more coming. It's Chili Peppers Tanning.
Chili Peppers Tan.
Chili Peppers Tan. I love it, Spenny. Getting more fish like every day. Big D Energy back with it. Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Spen Mo Racks. Flannel Sam, we're talking Detroit Lions. We're talking about, is Jamaal Williams the number one priority? Resign. Dan Campbell. We obviously took a look at the trajectory of the New York Giants moving into the second round of the playoffs this week. But the big news I want to get back to is Ben Johnson's back. So now we can focus in on this offense and what we want to do with this offense. We've come to the conclusion that we want Jamaal Williams back. We're going to re-sign him. But my question to you guys is the return of Ben Johnson, what does that mean to the offense, specifically if you're Brad Holmes entering the NFL draft? Is it something that is more of a priority? We've mentioned it on here. Obviously, we think that this team needs defensive help. But offensively, does it change in the draft, Terry, to maybe what you're going to get because Ben's back?
I, in charge, it does not change anything with the draft. Because whether Ben Johnson is here or not, you still need to score points. Whether Ben Johnson is here or not, you may need a wide receiver. You may need a little bit more depth on the offensive line, whether he's here or not. So it doesn't change for me. But also, whether Ben Johnson is here or not, your defense still needs to be upgraded. That does not change. So you put together the best team you think that can win, whether Ben Johnson is here or not. So it does not change my draft plans unless there's a chance that Ben Johnson could come in begging for something. So that could change your mind there. He could convince you need something.
No, eventually you need it. I think that, obviously the way that it plays out to see what the guys you have it back. But, like, if you were going to add, first comes to mind, what is something, to me, it's who's the wide receiver. I know everybody's all hopped up on Bijan Robinson and drafting a guy, but I don't think you can, to the point about talking about running backs, you have the running back that's going to make a difference. You can't draft a running back that high, but a wide receiver.
If you've given up on DeAndre Swift, you can.
Okay, there you go, Terry.
Because you need 2 running backs.
Right. So if the DeAndre Swift experiment is over, then you could see them reaching in to draft a guy like Bijan. Right?
Bijan, yeah. But
so that wouldn't. But wouldn't that be out of character to what they're building?
It would be. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to try to roll with what they've got. But if they're scared, as you guys would say yesterday, that DeAndre Swift is going to be a guy that you can only give the pill to 5 or 6 times a game, that they may look for a running back.
Is there
last year I thought they should have selected Walker out of Michigan State.
Kenneth Walker III?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you would have been right again.
I'm sorry, he's Ken Walker now.
Oh, Ken Walker
yes.
III. Here's the one thing, though. If there was an offensive, which offensive position would you bet would be the one that is going to take? Because I don't think it'd be running back. For me, I think you got to solidify this offensive line. Said it before, is that what you're always taught as a professional is that you have to do something 99.9% better than everybody else, and then you have to own that. So you always have to hone that skill. And if the Detroit Lions are going to be known for their offensive line and hopefully eventually their defensive line, you got to keep adding pieces to the puzzle there.
I mean, the offensive line, it's funny because it's obviously their strongest unit, but they were missing Vaitai the whole year. So I wouldn't be opposed to drafting an offensive lineman at some point in their first 5 picks. I know that sounds crazy, but the Lions' offense, they need to make sure, no matter what, at all costs, that it remains at the top. So if there's an offensive player available, like an offensive lineman, or hell, even if Quentin Johnston is available at 18, I would consider it. Obviously, the Lions need to go more defense with their first 5 picks and definitely with their number 6 pick, but you can't just assume that this offense is going to just stay exactly how it was this past year, no matter what. You need to keep replenishing it. I mean, they're probably going to lose DJ Chark. You never know with injuries. And with Ben Johnson there, isn't that the kind of coordinator that you would like a rookie offensive player to go to play under? I certainly would, because I think he's one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL. Hell, maybe the best at this point. So if they were to pick a couple offensive players in the first 5 picks, I wouldn't be mad at all.
Fellas, let me pick your brain on this one. Is the wide receiver room where you want it to be? Is it still lacking?
See, it all kind of depends on J-Mo, because I think they're going to lose Chark. But that sort of big-bodied receiver like a Quentin Johnston, I think the Lions could use a guy like him. Would I take him it would be a tough decision if he was available and so was, say, Joey Porter Jr. at 18. I'd probably go Joey Porter Jr. But if Quentin Johnston was the best available pick, I think he would fit in this Lions offense.
Well, that gets you thinking, though. But Spenny, what do you think? That offensively, here's the one thing, and I see in the chat thread about we need to, if we address Bijan with the running back and offensive guard, it plays to our strengths, stuff like this. As I'm sitting here thinking, I just smiling because I trust the guys in charge, so that it's not like they're going in without a game plan. How many times in the past, Terry, did it feel like you're going into the draft or free agency with this Lions team that they have no clue what they're going to do, or like they're just going to do something that's the old, we're smarter than everybody else?
Yeah, that happened too often.
Do you think it happens with this regime?
No, I don't
either.
I think Brad Holmes has a game plan, and he's sticking to it. Like before, I thought they just were all over the board, just whatever we like and think is cute. But he's trying to build units, and he's trying to make these units cohesive. And that's very important. I've never seen this in Lions history before. So, yeah.
And I'll answer your question. No, I think that the wide receiver room could be improved, but I also think that you not only were focused on Jameson Williams if he fills in for Chark and stuff like that, but anybody, Khalif Raymond stepped up this year, not only on special teams, but he proved he can be that second little possession guy. That's a guy that you could use, that seems like he's finding his way in this offense and in this special teams and the kick return and stuff like this. So I think it comes down to, Terry, the fact that do you trust in what these guys do, that if they make say they do draft somebody that you don't agree with, they're going to have a reason for it?
Yeah, they will. And it'll be a sound reason.
And to your point right there, right? If they don't do what I expect them to do, there'll be a sound reason for why they did it.
All right, let me throw this back at you. We're in the third round.
Yes.
Lions are on the clock.
All right.
They have a pick of a very good offensive lineman or a very good wide receiver. You know, kind of the second tier. Which one are you picking?
I guess that if I think my re-signing in my offensive line group's good and this guy can third round and make it different, I'm not against drafting a receiver. I'll draft whatever, but if this offensive lineman re-solidifies like something that this guy, you can count on, he can be a substitution. He can, the guys that were valuable this year were the Evan Browns and the Stenbergs and the Skippers and the guys that aren't supposed to be there. So whether you think that they can do the job moving forward or you want to replace them, I trust in who they'd pick. It wouldn't bother me whoever they picked.
Yeah, I was like, who the hell is Skipper? Cute name and everything. And then at the end of the season, I'm like, okay, he's kind of important now.
I used to call him Big for Nothing, but he Big for Nothing. But he actually played well this year, so I can't call him that anymore.
But that's the whole thing is what I'm talking about, the team, right? So to your point, Terry, I think it's they're drafting specifically for what they are building. And they're building something here, and they've shown us. So I would suspect it's more defensive guys early in the draft, but I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if we're sitting here and there's a wide receiver taken in the third round, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
So be it.
They got a lot of capital in the first and second round.
Yeah.
So you could use all that capital for defense, and then you can dabble. You have to dabble in the offense at some point.
You have to. We agree on that, right? You're gonna have to dabble in the offense and pick some things up. It's just trusting on.
I always say go defense, 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 but I don't really mean it.
You don't really mean it because here's the thing, Terry. You're like the rest of us, is that you have trust in the competency of the guys making the picks now.
Right. And you do have to have talent on both sides of the ball, and you have to pass the ball. You have to.
You guys still got to score points to win, yeah.
Right.
But you don't want your defense looking like Swiss
much
cheese.
like Swiss Insurance,
Yes.
Sam.
Yes, Swiss Insurance. Definitely don't want your defense looking like Swiss cheese. Swiss Insurance. Be sure to check with Swiss Insurance this week for your commercial insurance review. Many businesses choose a January 1st effective date. Swiss can help make sure you have the proper coverage. Swiss Insurance. Give us a shot and you won't be disappointed. Or you could email them at mark@swissins.com. That is mark@swissins.com.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Hi, Christina Gennari from Keller Williams Domain, your obvious choice in real estate. The Lions aren't headed to the Super Bowl, but you might be headed to your new home. Call or text me 248-550-4788 or come see me at soldchristina.com. I want to make sure you don't miss out on this hot spring market that's just getting warmed up. See you soon.
Hey, it's Tom Mazaway for all your real estate needs. Check out my gal, Christina Gennari. She's got you covered. Right, Lions?
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Big D Energy back this Thursday. Terry Foster, Darren McCarty, joined by Spenmo Rax, Flannel Sam, talking a little bit of Lions, talking about some coaches, talking about the OCs, the DCs, Aaron Glenn.
You know what we're talking about? Whatever the hell we feel like.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing here.
And that's not even the real bad man today. That's Terry Foster throwing it around. You know, Terry, it brought me to this question, right? Because I wanted to see where everybody else was at. Right? Because I think, can we agree? Okay, at least this is what my expectations are. Lions playoffs next year, Red Wings playoffs next year. To me, those are two non-negotiables, right? But the other thing, right, we'd have two other sports teams in this town, right? And the Pistons and the Tigers. And it got me thinking that if I can get ready, you know, for the Lions and the Red Wings for the playoff run, how far away are we legitimately think we are with the Pistons or the Tigers? Right now,
I think we
do we agree? Does everybody here agree that the Pistons are probably closer than the Tigers, or
everybody but Adam Badoon?
Everybody but Adam Badoon.
Right?
Who's that? Is that Morning Wood guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's back. He's live.
He gives you Morning Wood.
He thinks it's the Tigers?
Yes.
He's alive. He does think it's the Tigers.
What do you think, young Terry? And what is the time frame? What is realistic for me as a Pistons fan?
I think we need to look at the age of Cade Cunningham. When he turns 27, the Pistons should be contenders. Maybe not in the finals, ready to win a championship, but at least in that Final Four, maybe Eastern Conference Finals. But the problem with the Pistons, they got to see the Boston Celtics go away. The Greek Freaks got to go away. New Jersey's got to go away. There's teams that must get old for the Pistons to be able to compete for a championship. But they've got good young pieces that seem to be not playing cohesive enough, and so they figured that out. Now, the reason I put the Pistons ahead of the Tigers, I don't trust Chris Ilitch. I don't trust Chris Ilitch to spend, to have the wherewithal of his father to say, you know what, we need a right-handed pitcher. Go get one for me, because that's what Mike Ilitch used to do. He's like, damn, we're not hitting home runs. Get me a home run hitter.
Yeah, where did he start that? With his hockey team.
Right.
Right? Like
but he doesn't have to spend as much
and
for
you know
hockey.
what? My apologies. I thought everybody would be like Rake or or Bennett or whatever, saying the Pistons are probably 2-3. If they get Wembayama, they're going to make the playoffs next year, but they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years away, like Terry says, as these guys mature. But I see a lot of guys, Jeremy Anderson, I disagree. I always think it's the Tigers. Walter Briggs, playoffs I can see for the Tigers only because of the division. So I guess some people have more confidence. Like, let me go to the legend killer here. What am I missing, Sam?
I think the people's rationale when it comes to the Tigers is more like it may be a weak division. It's sometimes you can kind of be that team that sneaks out of nowhere and makes the playoffs in Major League Baseball. But with the Tigers, I just don't see it. I don't see really anyone on this team this season that I'm really excited about, that I think can really sort of break out. Maybe a Riley Green, maybe a Spencer Torkelson, but neither of them showed me a whole lot of anything in their rookie year. Riley Green obviously showed me more. With the Pistons, at least you've seen that Cade Cunningham, although this is a lost season for him, his rookie year he showed that he can ball out. He's a guy that I think could be a number 1 or a number 2 on a championship team. Jaden Ivey has had a relatively good rookie season. Jalen Duren, another one. He's been, I wouldn't say a revelation, but I think he's even exceeded a lot of people's expectations, being that sort of rim protector at such a young age and already their best rebounder. And if the Pistons, they're obviously one of the worst teams in the league. They're going to get a high draft pick. If they can get a Victor Wembanyama, then obviously I think everyone's going to change to the Pistons. But what if they can even get like a Scoot Henderson or a Brandon Miller from Alabama and they sort of pan out? I just think there's too many young building block pieces on the Detroit Pistons to say the Tigers, although as Terry did say, the NBA East, it's a buzzsaw right now.
Walter Briggs says it in the woodwardsports.com chat thread. Terry, is it as simple as the Eastern Conference in basketball is hella harder than the AL Central in baseball?
Oh, no question about that.
There's absolutely no question. So does that play into the fact that this Tigers team, maybe for the ones of us who are, this is a 4, 5, 6, 7 year project, that it could be quicker than that?
A few years ago, the West was a bitch in the NBA, and then it switched to the East. Who's to say it could switch again? Or some of these Jason Tatum could leave the Boston Celtics at some point. Greek Freak gets old. You know, age plays a factor, and every team has its moments. And then typically, once you have your moment, and fans don't like this, but the team disappears for 4 or 5 years. They're non-factors. So you have to wait for that moment to come. And I think the next teams that are going to be that next team competing for that is going to be the Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're positioning themselves, at least in the East, to be that next good thing. And the Tigers, I mean, I just don't trust. I know the division is weak. I know all you have to worry about is Cleveland and sometimes Minnesota. And Kansas City will never win the division again. Of course, they'll win it next year because I said that.
Right.
But I just don't trust Chris Ilitch to provide that leadership that takes them over the hump.
I see it in the chat thread more than any, and it sort of took me back too. But like this Tigers team, people believe could be better in 3, 4, 5 years.
I think we want to believe the Tigers will be better.
What is it
I
we
want to
see?
believe. Here, you got a pen over there?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to have you do. No. I didn't say I wanted it.
Oh, I got another one.
I want you to do something. I have a homework assignment for you.
Okay.
That you're going to do right here. Tell me what Pistons are you excited about?
Well, it's Ivy Duren and Cade Cunningham.
Okay.
And now I'm more excited as of late because of the development of what I've seen out of Killian Hayes, and I haven't given up on Sadiq Bey.
Okay. I
Right?
didn't ask you to rumble. Now you got another. Tell me what Tigers you're excited about.
I got to name a Tiger first.
I'm not talking about
Torque
somebody.
and Green.
No, I'm not talking about somebody playing at Class F ball.
Torque and Green. Those are the future.
Torque, the worst positional
I get
player.
It. So there's a lot of room for improvement, Terry. You got to set. Hey, listen, I know what Torque did. You just set the expectations really low. But yeah, no,
and Riley Green would hit 250, and we're like, yeah, look at that boy go. And the reason we said that is because the team was so bad. If you batted 260 or 255, you were exceptional.
You're the best
for this
bat
team.
in the lineup. I agree. There's a couple on the Tigers that you can be excited about, but I know you guys don't want to hear about young prospects that the Tigers are signing.
No, I want to hear it.
But if you go to the Tigers foreign scout page on Twitter, they've signed like 12 prospects in the last 4 days. Kids out of Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Cuba, like all these young.
Like what other teams used to do, we might get that
Right.
guy.
I'm looking at
Is
these
there a
guys
Ronald
like,
Acuna in
come
there?
on, give me an Acuna. Yeah, give me an Albies. Give me one of these guys. But Scott Harris is doing things like that. So hopefully, you strike a diamond in the rough. You get a guy that could be a superstar.
See, I think Scott Harris is going to be exceptional. The problem is he's going to have one hand tied behind his back. You know who's got him in handcuffs?
Chris Ilitch.
Chris Ilitch.
Yeah. Or that he doesn't. But, at least the transparency is you could do it one of two ways, and he knows he's got to build it. He told him he's got to build it. So hopefully as he builds it.
And here's some hope for you. You know who else they said that about? Mike Ilitch. People forget that. Early on, they said Mike Ilitch don't care. Mike Ilitch only cares about the wings. Mike Ilitch doesn't want to spend. And then one day, he said, no, I'm tired of losing. Whatever they need, I'm going to give him whatever. And he kept his promise. And
I'm
they
going to tell you
became
this,
good.
though. I as a diehard Tiger fan, my number one love or whatever, you got that segment there gave me a little bit more excitement to that it's coming sooner than later. So, I mean, if pulling the fences in at Comerica Park didn't bring me down this summer, maybe one of these young guys will. So
I'm going to go anyway this summer because I like baseball. I like being outside. I like being at Comerica
So do you think
Park.
honestly, like, I could see because of what's in front of you, because of who's in charge, because of different things, is that it might be the Tigers.
It's easier to do it in baseball. That's what it is.
And with
It'd just be nice to be competitive.
If you have commitment.
If you have commitment, yeah.
It'll be nice to be competitive and to be able to go down and invest in somebody that's going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
And Scott Harris has a track record with what he did with the San Francisco Giants, so I think that he's going to be, like Terry said, I think he'll be a positive for this team.
I do too. He's good at identifying young talent, and so he'll be able to do that. But also, it's like baseball's the only sport where you can be like, all right, we want to make the playoffs. We're going to make the playoffs.
Absolutely. 100%. Anyways, so
now, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable because I know Chris Ilitch is your boy, but I don't want to, mess around with you so you get in trouble.
Oh, we all good.
So you won't have.
We all good. You know that
So he won't invite you to dinner next time.
You're talking the truth.
Just
talking
say
the truth. But
just
here's
say
the one
Chief
thing.
Fox said it.
I'll leave this with you guys with this as we had the break. Look at your teams and look at the people in charge. It's been a long time since I can look at all four guys in charge of my teams and go, okay, right? And I still think Dwayne Casey, that's the blast show after this year. But Weaver, Harris, Yzerman, and Holmes. Give me a shirt, Sam. Give me a shirt so I can work out.
What we are seeing on the field is not great, but what we're seeing in the front office, I think this is the best I've ever seen it.
Holy shit!
Hey, it's Terry Foster
Holmes
talking.
is the best Lions GM they've ever had from Terry Foster's, and this is the greatest he's ever seen the front office GM. Wow! I'm gonna have to go run that off. Where am I gonna go, boys?
I shock you at least once a month.
Cool.
Always an honor coming from the great
Did I
Terry
give you a heart
Foster.
attack? I didn't mean to.
No, dude, I felt like I was on the treadmill.
On the treadmills. You know where there are a lot of treadmills where you can run all of this energy off? That is Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the official studio sponsor of Woodward Sports. Also home of the Judgment Free Zone, where you can work out for only $10 a month, or upgrade to the Black Card for unlimited guest privileges, hydro massage, and more. Join In Club today or go to planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness, where Darren McCarty.
Where your fitness is essential.
As chilly weather approaches, Big Boy's got the perfect comfort meals for you. Try our hearty classic meatloaf or our creamy Cajun chicken Alfredo. These will be sure to leave you craving for more. How about breakfast? Our stuffed potato pancakes are back with our lumberjack, blockbuster, and Santa Fe Garden. These potato pancakes will definitely fill you up. Whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, come stock up on the perfect comfort meal today. We'll see you soon at Big Boy.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Welcome back, Big D Energy. Final segment, wrapping up the day. Terry Foster, Darren McCarty, Flannel Sam's, Ben Mo Rax, and a couple people in the chat thread. Obviously, somebody owes Planet Fitness a couple dollars. I won't tell them. Jip Sniz says, Terry, you got into some of D-Mac's good stuff. And I said, Terry's got his own good stuff, but he knows where to go when he needs to. But as poignant of that statement that you made before the break about this is probably the best situation, not on the field, but in the front office that all four of these teams have had in your lifetime.
Yes.
How can that not make everybody thirsty Thursday?
Well, I didn't want to give you a heart attack. You were like, oh my God.
No, I was
you
like,
really
but no, because you're right, Terry. Let's think about it. Because the direction, and that's, I guess, as we go down our fandoms, and everybody out here has something that they hold more dear because of their history. But when they're all in the great place, and this is why I love, because I don't have to have a heart attack. Because at the end of the day, no matter if it doesn't go good on the field, it doesn't go good when I'm watching, I know that it's going to be addressed, and the conversations to make it better and to fix the mistakes is there. The accountability is finally there. How often was there no accountability? And this is all throughout all the teams. There were times, right? There were times. I remember in the early 90s when I came, in the Red Wings, it wasn't the way that it was now. Right. There was stuff that had to be built, right?
Well, I had a conversation with someone in the Ilitch family.
Did it have the Ilitch last name?
Yes.
Okay.
When Ken Holland was the GM.
Yeah.
And Ken Holland was getting a lot of praise for doing a good job, which I think he did. And the person said, well, yeah, thanks to my father. Bam. Thanks to Dad.
Well, yeah, because it's got to come from the top.
Right.
It's got to come from the pockets, man. It doesn't matter if the books aren't open. You mentioned it. There was a time that Mr. Ilitch didn't do that. There was a dead wing era when he took it over. But then there was a time when he decided, I need to be all in.
Right.
You can't do it. You can't do it without.
But I think it's easier to be a big wig in the NHL than it is Major League Baseball. Because, the salaries aren't as high and you don't have...
The hit rate in baseball players is...
And you know what? Here's the thing. I'll address this. I was going to address it today. Yes, I did see what Dylan Larkin said after the Arizona loss, if you haven't said it, but I want everybody to watch it. So if you get a chance, and I want to see... I was going to answer the question because I see Bradley Stroh. Yes, did you see the post-game comments from Larkin after the Arizona loss? Maybe a turning point for the team. I don't want to answer that question until I see the game.
What did he say?
Tonight.
Neil was right?
What?
Did he say Neil was right? Since
I
Neil
would
was
never
trying
say
to run
Neil,
it.
I would never say Neil was right, but I will address this tomorrow after watching, because this is what I like to see. When the words come out of your mouth, I want to see you be able to put it into action. Or do I see something different? Or is it just words? Right? I will tell you this. Dylan Larkin doesn't say stuff that Dylan Larkin doesn't mean, and the fact that he will take this personally. So
Larkin's a cool
tune in.
guy.
Hey, maybe a different reason to check out the Pistons on NBA TV at 3 from Paris, and check out the Wings from Vegas tonight at 10 on Bally Sports.
I gave Larkin a beer when he was 19.
What's that?
I said I gave Larkin a beer when he was 19.
Absolutely.
I'm going to hit all 3 pairs tonight, brother.
You are? Good,
Yes.
because tomorrow we're going to, and Terry, if you haven't seen it, go look at Larkin's comments, and it's, sick and tired of being sick and tired, but this is what, leadership entails, and we'll see coming out tonight. This is not going to be an easy game in Vegas, but we will see. Anything else, boys? What do you got? Let's give a preview of heavyweights tonight.
Heavyweights, yeah, we're gonna talk a lot of Lions. We're gonna obviously break down the Pistons game. I think it will probably be over or ending as we get on there. We're gonna preview the Red Wings tonight. Talk about wide receiver prospects that we'd like to see fill the role if they don't sign DJ Chark, who we're going to go there. We reviewed our Lions power ranking of players before the season earlier in the week, and we're going to put out a new one after the season, what we think their power ranking is.
I love it, man. Check it
that's
out.
all cute. I just want to know what percent chance is it that you're going to smack Easy tonight?
It's always over 50.
Okay.
Listen, I can't be in the room there. I'd be smacking them the whole time. So, hey, check it out. You got the bottom line at 2-4. You got Woodward heavyweights with bad takes by Easy, great takes by Spencer, and bad picks by Sam Flannel. Getting ready to drink the chop. Anyways, thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate, love all you guys out in the chat. Neil, is he back tomorrow?
He is.
He will be back tomorrow from Indonesia or Indianapolis.
Or Indianapolis is one of the two.
Hey, there's a stopover in Indianapolis. Anyways, for Terry Foster, Spenmo Rax, Flannel Sam, I'm Darren McCarty. I got 4 of these. You guys have a great day.
Bam.
See ya. Deuces.